Welcome back to Old Wine Wednesday with one of the greatest, if not probably rarest, old vintages you can drink right now from Burgundy, the epic 1959. Amazing. Unfortunately, don't see it that often. Why? Because it's epic. If you do see them, they're probably stupidly expensive. And of course, you always have to question the provenance. But one way to experience one of Burgundy's most unique, awesome, and killer wines from a vintage like this would be the Clos de Mouches in none other than the underrated, the fantastic Beaune. I know I've said this before, and I've made the claim that parts of Beaune Grève could possibly be Grand Cru when they really have their best moments, their time to shine. But perhaps the real candidate, which you only really see from a handful of producers, is the Clos de Mouches. The name translated sounds kind of funny. Clos of the flies. Clos of the flies. But it's not really flies, right? It's actually but it's not really flies, it's honeybees. This vineyard historically was home to a whole bunch of honeycombs, which probably helped the biodiversity and all that stuff, right? And you still see it on the label of, for example, Joseph Duran's version. But regardless, being right on the border of Pommard has an uncanny ability to capture this power and this structure of Pommard, but also a silky elegance and fragrance almost reminiscent of Volnay. But it's altogether Beaune and absolutely extraordinary. Now, Chanson, this example right here, might not be what you would consider to be, my first choice for any wine in Burgundy, because admittedly, its history has been a little spotty, especially in terms of consistency and quality. That being said, some of the greatest old Beaune wines I've ever had have been from Chanson, from the 1900s, 1910s, and 1920s. I mean, they weren't consistent, but when they hit, it was out of the park. Since then, circa 1999, I believe, it was purchased by the Boulanger family, in Champagne. So a lot of improvements have been made. And of course, now they're really on a much more consistent path. But the cool thing about Chanson is that they have 10 crus in Beaune alone. So if you wanted to learn about the wines of Beaune and their different characters, this is absolutely the address. Anyway, let's get back to this 1959. Arguably the single greatest vintage for the Clos de Mouches in the last 100 years. I mean, okay, you're in Burgundy, but you don't know where you are. If you're blind, you don't know if it's Grand Cru or just a really good Premier Cru. You're pretty sure it's Côte de Beaune, but it has such a raw power and a magnificence to it. I mean, these wines are just insanely unique. And at this point, from a well-stored bottle, all that truffle and earth and that flower water and all of that insanity that's happening. Okay, admittedly, not a ton of fruit left over, but perfect vintage, warm, powerful, robust, broad-shouldered. It's still kicking. Not so. This isn't just drinking Burgundy, this is literally drinking history. If you can find a great bottle of 1959 Clos de Mouches, regardless of who made it, you have the opportunity to literally drink one of the greatest wines that's ever come out of that appellation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what it's all about. Happy hunting until the next time on Old Wine Wednesday.